Here to break down the year's biggest RTS is executive producer Chris Corry. So Zdravstvuyte, Chris. Welcome to Battlecast PrimeTime.
Thanks, David. Delighted to be here.
As you can see, we've recently redecorated our studio in honor of your interview in Red Alert 3.
Very nice.
As you were actually the #2 guy on Command & Conquer 3 Tiberium Wars, right?
That's right. I was the senior development director on CNC3.
All right. Enough with the pleasantries. It's time for you to face the firing squad.
Bring it on!
Now, Chris, there's been a ton of hype around here for Red Alert 3, and the community's been demanding this title for more than half a decade. Why now?
Well, we dipped our toe in the water with Command & Conquer 3, Tiberium Wars, and that was very successful for us. It's been 7 years since we revisited Red Alert, and you know, now's just the time.
It was actually reported in a recent survey for Command & Conquer that the fans actually say Red Alert is their most popular universe of the 3 for Command & Conquer. Why do you suppose that is?
Well, Command & Conquer is a great franchise for us. It's got Kane, it's got Tiberium, but it's pretty dark, it's gritty, it's brooding, and Red Alert is completely different. It's very light, it's humorous, it's got that popcorn feel, that Saturday matinee feel, and it's just a lot of fun.
Now, speaking of this popcorn story for Red Alert 3, can you give us a little insight on what the story is? Get a little synopsis?
Sure. So, you know, one of the themes that you find in all the Red Alert games is this idea of time travel and sort of the consequences of that. So in Red Alert 3, we have a desperate Soviet leadership going back in time, erasing Einstein, and then returning to the present day only to find that their efforts have spawned this new superpower on the world stage, the technology cult of the Empire of the Rising Sun.
Well, that sounds great. Now, EALA is no stranger to innovation, as we've seen with the previous games your team has brought out. What can we expect? What's the next big thing in Red Alert 3?
Well, Red Alert 3 is chock full of lots of innovations, but the big one we really should talk a little bit about is the co-op campaign.
Co-op campaign? That's kind of a first for RTS. Can you give us some more details?
Sure. Well, co-op is certainly one of those themes that you're starting to see throughout the industry these days, and it's never been done in RTS before. So in Red Alert 3, you'll be able to go online, play with one of your buddies through the story-driven part of the campaign, or if you can't find one of your buddies around, you'll be able to enlist the aid of an AI general who has a distinct personality and who will play alongside with you.
Now, what about battling on the high seas? So Navy's been something that a lot of RTS games have kind of, shied away from, or they just, it's basically blue painted ground. Is there any, what are we doing in Navy with Red Alert 3?
So Navy is huge in Red Alert 3, and it's one of those things, as you point out, that people have kind of kept at arm's distance for a while. Personally, I feel like there hasn't been a good Navy RTS since Red Alert 2, but we're going to change that with Red Alert 3. We're bringing Navy into the core of the game design, and we're pushing the gameplay off the land and into the oceans. You can do base building in the oceans, resource collection in the oceans. It's really going to switch up the gameplay a lot.
All right, now the Red Alert franchise historically, along with the Tiberium Wars series through Command & Conquer, has been known for these memorable live-action cinematics. I mean, hell, even in Yuri's Revenge, you got Yuri getting eaten by a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Who is there?
So, are we going to be able to see these cinematics return in Red Alert 3?
Well, absolutely. I mean, live-action cinematics worked out very well on CNC3, and they're really a staple of the Red Alert series. So we're going to have a lot of great talent back, a lot of earnest actors chewing up the scenery, some great cinematics.
Well, there you have it. Chris Corry, you have survived the firing squad. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
My pleasure.